achievement awards in the morning. One was to Shri Nadir Godrej ji and the other was to Shri Tarun Trijat ji. I would like everyone to stand up and applause for both of them for achieving getting the Lifetime Achievement Award. It was really nice to have all of them over here, and they really do need a standing ovation, all of them. Thank you so much. As we know about Sri O.P. Chaudhary ji, everybody knows how helpful he is. आप जब भी उनके ऑफिस में जाओ, दरवाजे हमेशा खुले होते हैं. हाँ जी आओ, क्या बात है, क्या प्रॉब्लम है, and he will solve and resolve everything. The smallest of the things, he has given us the liberty to go to him for the smallest of the things. अब वो कहते हैं कि कोई चीज़ छोटी नहीं, कोई चीज़ बड़ी नहीं है. आपको क्या तकलीफ है मुझे बोलो, and I will try and resolve. हम इसको बोलते हैं government and industry partnership, and that is what is called as. He is such a helpful character. Many of you must have experienced this already about him. So thank you, sir, for gracing the occasion. Tarun Sridhar ji, I don't need to again tell anything about him. Everybody again knows about him. In fact, सुबह भावे जी ने जब citation पढ़ा था, I think he quoted that, Tarun Sridhar ji is the father of Venami for this country. And he has given this gift to the country where he has introduced the species. I think many of the forums, people have spoken about this, but nobody had termed it as father of Venami. I think this is the first time in CLFMA we have used the term father of Venami. So thank you, sir, for, and he's always helped us. He's always helped us in terms of designing a program and, through articles, and he's published more than 150 articles. That's amazing. And how he helps the industry directly and indirectly and through his articles. And I think we all need to applaud for that also, because he's still part of us. Lifetime Achievement Award doesn't mean that we are going to forget you, sir. You are still going to be a part of us, and you will always be a part of us. So thank you for everything, Tarunji. Afternoon we were having lunch. There was a quote given by Sri Rupala ji about, how the Parsis came in and how, they absolutely immersed themselves into the system, and he gave an example of the milk and sugar and how, so it was, you must hear it yourself. I don't want to spoil it for you guys. So when we were having lunch, using this, I think we all know that Nadir Godrej ji is a great poet also. Nadir ji immediately removed his phone and read out that poetry. Thank you, sir. It was a real pleasure sitting over there and hearing you speak. And I hope you can quote some poetry here also in your speech. Even though it's a keynote address, but we'd love to hear about your poetry and some poetry also. So thank you, sir, for gracing the occasion. Our symposium is about the theme is livestock sector looking beyond the present. We have 3 sessions tomorrow. We have all the government dignitaries present in the sessions, and we have the industry also. So this is the first time, thanks to Chairman Shri Suresh Deora, who has actually taken all the effort, and it's been great working with Suresh in actually designing this whole program and being with him and setting the whole program. We've had lots of ups and downs, and as you've seen how we've been able to change the program also even at the last moment. But yeah, Suresh, it's been a pleasure working with you and designing the whole program. And I'm sure everybody will appreciate after these 2 days that what kind of effort you put in as a chairman to make the program successful. And I hope that, we will have some takeouts from the 3 sessions tomorrow. I don't want to say anything more about this. And all I would say is that thank you everyone for gracing the occasion. Because you people attend these shows, that we can actually host these kind of shows. And it's always been a pleasure of being on this side and hosting the event as the organizer or as the office bearer or as the managing committee. So thank you all the managing committee members also, without which nothing can be achieved. Also to learn a lot from Neeraj Srivastav. He's also done a great job for the past 2 years, had 2 successful AGMs there. So thank you everyone. Thank you past chairmen. Balramji is also here. Bhave is also here. And it's been great fun working with you, and I've learned a lot. And Thank you once again and welcome everybody. Thank you.
Thank you so very much for that, and thank you for really bringing to us some recap points from earlier today. You've been very kind in doing so. You know, it is always said that when you have any chairperson taking a lead of any association, it's very difficult because you have so many viewpoints coming together. It's very difficult to balance it out together. But doing this job beautifully and taking it forward, listening into all those viewpoints and taking out the best judgment of it all is our chairperson in itself. So please do extend a very warm welcome. As joining us for the chairman address now is Mr. Suresh Dora. A round of applause as he steps forward, please.
On behalf of CLFMA and myself, I would like to extend a warm welcome to all of you. Divya, you don't have to thank me, or it was not me alone who decided and worked for this program. My whole OB was up with me, and with the support of my managing committee, we could achieve today's function. And especially when we had to divide this function into two halves. You know, getting it done the very last moment. And I would like to thank all the delegates, especially for all of them being there on time in the morning session. We were actually expecting about half of the audience there, so we had a partition in between, and then we saw that everyone has come on time. We had to remove that and extend it, and I think so the function went off very well. I would also like to welcome all my past chairmen. We have Bharat Tandon ji, Bhave ji, Balram ji, Neeraj ji, and my managing committee members. We have some delegates from different embassies over here. We have a whole lot of people from the ministry who is supporting here, and they are part of it. And like what Divya was saying, that we are collaborating with the ministry. Our concept over here is that we as an industry alone can't do everything unless the ministry is there with us. So we every few years try to have our symposium and AGM in Delhi. And I would say, I would like to thank for that Tarun sir and Dr. O.P. Chaudhary. They have always been there with us. We even sometimes I know for any small thing, I call them up late in the evening also, and they say, yes, this is that, whatever you want, let me know. By morning you will get the answer. So thank you, sir. And Mr. Godrej, Divya has already said, and Rupala ji has already said in the morning about the Godrej family. The Godrej family is very close to my family also. So welcome Nadir, Dr. Rati, Burgess, everyone. And most important is, today in the morning we released our second volume of survey report, which was a tremendous task what we did in last 2 years. The first volume we released it last year in Mumbai, and today we released the second volume, sir. And if you combine both the volumes, it is the whole gist of this whole livestock industry, whether it is aqua, poultry, dairy, machine manufacturing, supplements, additives, everything. And these two volumes combined has about 1800 pages, which is a very big job. And we had a good team who was there. We had some managing committee members who were going through it and proofreading and corrections all the time. Thank you them also for this. And regarding this session tomorrow, we have these 3 sessions which will be talking about different points on how we, there are 3 points. One of the important point is how to bridge gap between our feed, what is available. Second thing is about how this industry can go ahead internationally. And the third important point is various policy matters which most of our members don't know about. There are which are given by the ministry on day-to-day basis. They are on portal, but what there is lacuna in it, how we can discuss it. So those are the points which we'll be discussing tomorrow with the members of the government bodies. They are all from different departments. We have FSSI, we have BIS, we have DPIIT, we have Ministry of Fishery and Animal Husbandry, everyone here tomorrow. So please kindly, I know you all will be very benefited by this. And last not the least, I would like to thank you all for coming. Jai Hind.
Thank you so very much, sir. And to share with all of you our beautiful journey, may I now request you to please look towards the screen. Let's have the audio visual, please.
CLFMA, an association of livestock industry, has been nurturing the livestock sector in India since 1967. An apex organization representing over 233 members, CLFMA is the only All India association of manufacturers of nutritionally balanced and scientifically compounded feeds for cattle, poultry, other animals, fish and prawns, and other livestock. With over 50 years of guiding the livestock sector through government liaison, CLFMA is recognized by central and state governments, livestock farmers, and related stakeholders. Its rich legacy boasts of eminent founding members and past chairpersons.
As an advisor to the National Advisory Committee, Department of Animal Husbandry, Ministry of Fishery, Animal Husbandry and Dairy, Government of India, I believe in greater collaboration with various ministries, including Ministry of Commerce, FSSI, Ministry of Agriculture, and so on. At CLFMA, we work relentlessly for the manufacturing and supplying high quality, safe and conversion efficient animal feed to livestock farmers at affordable prices.
It is our commitment to this cause that has helped CLFMA build a formidable reputation in relationship management with the government. CLFMA today enables funding and investments in the livestock and animal feed sector. It aids in the development of livestock farmers and other stakeholders by helping facilitate exports and imports as needed for the sector. CLFMA has further partnered with the Government of India in helping put in place regulatory frameworks and coordinating with ports for ease of imports and exports. Its views assolate the government while formulating constructive policies for the livestock sector. CLFMA is the voice of the country's dynamic livestock sector. Its representations to the government include initiatives such as raising farmer issues, raising manufacturer issues, educational programs, new technology training programs, and connecting feed manufacturers with government policymakers. CLFMA collaborates with national and international associations and organizations to be the one voice, a unified voice for the Indian livestock sector. The various international associations include the International Feed Industry Federation.
We are proud of our achievement in last year. One of it is having a feed additive list approved by Government of India in 2020 after 8 long years. We are now working towards submission of additional feed additive list to Government of India to include in the current feed additive list, so there is an members don't face hassle during it. Recently, we appealed to Government of India to control soybean meal prices by allowing us to import soybean meal to enable feed prices to be controlled so that the farmers get protein source at a considerable lower rate. At CLFMA, we understand the importance of technology. Hence, we have requested the Government of India to introduce an app which will help farmers to have a proper good ration for the cattle and poultry, and the Government of India has agreed to do for it.
Some path-breaking initiatives are as follows. CLFMA of India has proposed nutritional guidelines to the government for reference. CLFMA sought clarification for Section 84A of the Food Safety and Standards Amendment Bill 2020. It appealed to the government to open chicken and egg shops under essential services, and the same was considered as per new changes. The same year, CLFMA appealed to the government to exempt additional import duty of 15% on various products, which includes all amino acids and vitamins for animal feeding. Further, it appealed to the government to exempt 5% GST on frozen dressed chicken. It addressed the issue of import duty to be stipulated on imported shrimp feed to India. It also appealed to the government to exempt conversion of maize and corn into ethanol and DDGS.
Apart from the central and state governments, we enjoy an excellent relationship with several other national and international bodies. We are associated with some global organizations that are working for the betterment of industry in India. We have been a guiding force for many stakeholders for upliftment of industry. CLFMA worked very closely with the Department of Animal Husbandry, Dairy and Fisheries to promote all government policies and its benefit to our members and the industry. Catering to diverse subsector of animal protein value chain, we regularly work closely with institutions of repute such as BIS, FSSAI, ICAR, NDRI, NDDB, NIANP, APEDA, and many more.
CLFMA has instituted several awards for scientists contributing to the growth of this sector, thus recognizing the need for scientific research in the livestock industry. It provides a platform to its members for interaction with industry leaders and foreign experts. CLFMA supports other industry associations to strengthen relationships. It spreads awareness to matters related to the livestock sector through periodic conferences and events. CLFMA has taken many steps to help contribute stock farmers and regularly conducts educational programs for them. Some of our sessions have been highly appreciated by the members. Today, CLFMA remains the guiding light in the livestock sector for coming generations.
We are continuously setting new benchmarks for the future through livestock investment, newer member education program, new technology-related education program, consultancy and policy. We will endeavor to improve the lives of our farmers by launching new initiatives. Those are more growth-oriented. We will continue to partner with Government of India and the farmers to further develop this sector by helping to contribute to the growth of India's GDP. We have currently changed our constitution to have 4 verticals. One is aqua, dairy and others, which includes equipment manufacturer, farmers, feed additive manufacturers and traders. I take this opportunity to thank all the members of CLFMA of India as well as all authorities in government. Thank you.
CLFMA, shaping the Indian livestock industry since 1967.
Thank you so very much for those warm applauses to CLFMA of India, which of course is the apex organization and the voice of the country's dynamic livestock sector. As we look forward to this spectacular moment, we are privileged to have amongst us a leader beyond par, a leader who today has really become someone who's always been a part and a very special part of the industry, always been there to guide, to support CLFMA of India. It is such a pleasure to have amongst us the alumni of Harvard Business School, an industrialist, a guide and leader. A round of applause as I present to you Mr. Nadir B. Godrej, Chairman and Managing Director of Godrej Industries Limited. And as we have the brilliant Dr. Rati Godrej and all you wonderful audience listening in, please put your hands together for the recipient of the fabulous Lifetime Achievement Award presented by CLFMA of India, presenting his keynote address.
Thank you for the kind introduction. Suresh, thank you for inviting me and organizing this excellent conference. And it was a great pleasure meeting Minister Rupalaji and receiving the award at his hands. Divya, Abhay, all the office bearers, congratulations. To Mr. Sridhar, congratulations on your award. And both Mr. Sridhar and Dr. Chowdhury are here standing symbols of this private-public partnership that has made this industry so successful. Thanks to all the members of CLFMA. Our portfolio looks diversified, but much of what we have tried was something that we slipped into. For animal feed, this proved quite true. For compound feed, there seemed no need. Then Bueller sought out L&T Together, they had tried to see if any market might exist. There were no takers on their list. Thus, forced to make a clean swipe, they were then left with a prototype. A discount customer was sought, and Godrej were the ones who bought. 50 years have passed since then. For me, a life in America was spurned, and so in 76 I returned. In animal feed, I played a role. Helping farmers was the goal. Now agriculture's growth is slow, and the only subsector that we know with really good growth potential is animal husbandry, and it's essential that this sector should rapidly grow for agriculture to clearly show it can approach the heady growth of the other sectors, as both services and industry are known to grow rapidly. And without growth, there'll be no charm in struggling on at the farm. The demand for milk, fish, meat, and eggs stands on very sturdy legs. As the population rises and the nation urbanizes, women will work more and more, and so consumption's bound to soar. The people will have time to roam, more meals will be outside the home, and all will find it rather nice that we don't need to raise our price. I don't intend to be rude, but pulses are no fancy food, and yet their price is now so high that truffles too might heave a sigh. Now cereals make for hearty fare. They do provide a major share of calories on the cheap, and protein at a price not steep. Alas, all cereals' nature's such, their protein content isn't much. Now pulses have a wee bit more, but not much more, and that's for sure. Indeed, when it's correctly seen as good digestible protein, none of the pulses have a lot. Agronomically, they've lost the plot, as all their yields are very low, and often imports need to flow. And yet the prices rise each day. No one seems to know the way to get their yields to improve, for they are stuck in a groove. Few plants that grow in the field have a decent protein yield. The soya bean is an exception, but as a food it meets rejection. Because of its reasonable yield, its protein's cheap while in the field. It's not palatable till modified, not edible till detoxified, and all of this adds to the cost. Much of the benefit is lost. Since we are not yet allowed to grow varieties that are GMO, our current yields are very low. We have a shortage, as you know. This might lead to confusion, but for a simple conclusion, the answer lies, as we will see, within our own industry. The way to go is innovation. Quick progress will help our nation. For our nation, benefits are seen. The provision of quality protein. Animal husbandry can be planned with a poor quality of land. Our forex reserves we can replete with exports of shrimp and meat. There are many animals we can grow. Cattle, chicken, shrimp we know. But other species are also there. We could greatly increase their share. I do believe it would be wise supporting a startup that bravely tries to reach out and organize the minor species found here and there and support them everywhere. Turkeys, ducks, goats, and sheep. All this and more we can reap. Murrels, crabs, geese, and quail. Of exotic species we can avail. In insects, one already sees the culture of silkworms and bees. But many nations are already steering to widespread insect rearing. The poultry scene is generally bright, but in crises, customers take fright. Whether it's COVID or it's flu, in every wave there is a slew of bad news that's misconstrued. Consumption then gets subdued. We often wonder, why, oh why, does demand just collapse or die? It can fall and even sink without the slightest logical link. When chikungunya widely spread, the chikundunya badly bled. We go through all these crazy antics based on sound and not semantics. The sector's value addition's low. The farmers lack benefits that flow. In this commoditized industry, high volatility is what we see. Now profits soar and then they fall. It's very hard to take a call. The big problems that I see are small scale labor intensity. There's scope for digitization as well as efficient automation. Network effects can overwhelm scale. There are many benefits farmers can avail. Input supply and output sale. Reliable advice without fail. The technology of this new age boosts both income as well as wage. Now farmer income's very low. So how can we make it grow? Yes, doubling income is the call, but this initiative may fall as animal husbandry is neglected. So the government has selected 2 funds to get the sector started. The funding's large and big-hearted. If we were to get our act right, the future will be very bright. An end to protein deficiency, high levels of efficiency, new technologies unfurled, exports to the Gulf and the world. In milk, we already lead. In all the others, let's succeed. Let us be bold, green, and wise. Let us strive and seize the prize. Provide our people with good health and our farmers with some wealth. But of the agri-GDP, 1/3's animal husbandry. The dairy growth is very steady, but poultry's growth is truly heady. One thing we should understand, fast dairy growth requires more land. If we multi-crop the field and improve the fodder yield, our dairy sector would then grow and milk will surely overflow. Now, poultry is the way to go. There are 2 products, as we know. There is the egg and then there's meat. The egg is an amazing thing. And I, for one, could always sing its praises for its package well, with its own protective shell. And in it you will surely find fine nutrients of every kind. It can be cooked in many ways, prepared in minutes, not hours or days. And I don't want to sound contrarian, but sterile eggs are vegetarian. Not just an ordinary view, but rather the considered view of our nation's father. That poultry feed conversion's low. Unlike cows, for both eggs and meat, you should know that poultry feed conversion's low. Unlike cows, they don't eat grass. But in a sense, they also pass. Soya meal and corn are fed. And though perhaps it could be said that these are foods that we might eat, no one would treat them as a treat. And can we make the case much better? Not just in spirit, but in letter. Make a feed that won't compete with any food that humans eat. Can we fulfill such a dream? With newer enzymes, it would seem that digestibility could be bettered, locked nutrients could be unfettered. And what would be your reactions to feed made from low-cost extractions? I'm sure you'd all be delighted. A golden era has been sighted with rapid poultry growth in store and the ability to feed many more without the use of added land can help us meet the food demand. The government can play a role and help us all achieve the goal. We will now have to brace for challenges that we'll face. Animal husbandry is under attack. There are many issues we must track. Now cruelty is at the fore, but it's not the only one for sure. Environment and economics are also factors we have to fix. Feed conversion may seem high, but the raw numbers don't really fly. But dry matter conversion, we all know, can indeed be very low. Efficiency improvement we can try. This could make us groan and sigh. These are issues we have to face. But there is a saving grace. The higher cost would make us frown, but efficiency can bring costs down. The better amino acid profile and micronutrients would make us smile. Another benefit that we see with efficient technology, the carbon footprint also falls. We have to take these dual calls. Eggs and milk are well perceived. Generally, they are well received. But plant-based meats are on the rise. Cultured meat is the prize. Right now, the costs are very high. This will take some time to fly. There is a huge commercial bar. The first we'll crack is foie gras. This indeed makes sense to try, as cost and cruelty are high. Both plant-based and cultured meat will prove to be a considerable feat. On cruelty as well as cost, they could win with not much lost. But it must still be confessed, if products are highly processed, on naturalness they may lose out. This indeed could be a doubt. Our heads, though, can't be in the sand. In fact, we have to understand these changes will come our way. They will indeed arrive someday. Till then, we must do our best. We must pass the efficiency test. This is indeed a big ask, but we are up to the task to study what new technology could possibly help us to be quite hunger-free sustainably. What is the challenge that we see? Greater resources, it can be seen, are needed to produce protein. In India, we are rather short, and therefore all of us now ought to find a more efficient way to produce protein and save the day. In India, milk yields are very low. This adds to the costs, as we all know. More cows are grown, more feed is fed. You also need a bigger shed, and all this leads to higher costs. But something else is also lost. The consequences are very dire, as carbon emissions are also higher. There is a tool that we can wield, and that, of course, is higher yield. Now, normal breeding's very slow. There is a faster way, we know. We asked ourselves what could then be the cutting-edge technology. In agriculture, Israel leads, and IVF met our needs. Now, crossbreeds are a compromise, and that approach once seemed wise. The compromise that one would see was between yield and immunity. Human nature is always loath to give up something, as we want both. Of course, we want the highest yield, and Indian immunity in the field, the best yield from both sperm and egg, while immunity stands on another leg, not from parents, but something other, the placenta of the surrogate mother. Now, NG Card, our research station, is a fountainhead of innovation. We know they can succeed in remediating low-value feed. For us, an even greater hope is the tremendous scope of rumen bypass technology. The benefits that we see are lower cost or higher yield. This is the power that we can wield. With steady progress in newer feed, along with our superior breed, we are now sure we can succeed in providing protein, our dire need. If we reduce our footprint as well as cost, it will be a while before all is lost. Thank you.
Divya had requested one thing. The poem which you said during the lunch about the milk and that.
I've sent you a copy.
No, everyone would like to hear from you.
The whole one? Yeah. Yes, I'll read the part that I read. Yeah. The whole poem is a little longer. I'll start a little bit earlier than I read at lunch. Zoroastrianism next hit a peak when Cyrus built a vast empire. The emperors had a tolerant streak. The Jews maintained that the entire Temple of Jerusalem was reconstructed just for them, and they acknowledged gratefully their freedom from captivity. Perhaps at this stage it would be wise to talk about the exchange of ideas over a wide range. The devil, hell, and paradise around this time spread to the West, as many scholars can attest. For 1,000 years, off and on, Zoroastrians were at the helm. 3 continents they ruled upon. It was a civilizing realm. Then from Arabia came the hordes, and Persia fell beneath their swords. King Yazdagerd was cruelly killed. The true believers were instilled with dread, and yet they kept the flame. But when they could take it no more, they just set sail for another shore. And I don't think that we could blame the Indian prince who saw them land for taking a suspicious stand. His land was full. He had no need for people from a distant land. Refusal wasn't in his creed. And so he thought they'd understand if he could cleverly convey there was no way that they could stay. A pitcher full of milk was sent. The Persian priest read the intent, but he could not accept a no. He slipped a lump of sugar in and sent it back. And what a win! The community began to grow, but like the lump, it stayed quite small. In sweetness, though, we have it all. Thank you.
Thank you so very much, sir. I have to say, among so many things that one can learn from you, I definitely want to learn how to write my scripts and those wonderful lines from you. A round of applause for him once again, adding all those sentiments, the passion, all that wit there. It could only be done by you. And we'd like to present you with a memento. I'd like for all of you to please put your hands together as I now request our kind dignitaries, our chairman, to please present you with the memento. May I request Mr. Deora to please do the honors. I'm now about to invite yet another industry veteran, someone who has contributed immensely to the industry. An IAS officer, a very, very passionate person. May I request all of you to please put your hands together as I now request Shri Tarun Sridhar to please address you all. A round of applause for him, please.
Never in my dreams I imagined that livestock and animal husbandry could be an inspiration for such lyrical poetry. In fact, after Mary had a little lamb and Machli Jal Ki Rani Hai, my knowledge of poetry about livestock ends. Thank you, sir, for this wonderful opening to the second inaugural session today. Mr. Godrej, Dr. O.P. Chaudhary, Mr. Suresh Deora, Mr. Avesha, Mr. Devya Kumar Gulati, Dr. Balram Singh Yadav, Mr. Rajput, Mr. Bhave, Dr. Malik, Mrs. Godrej, Mrs. Deora, Dr. Mahesh, Mr. Neeraj Srivastava. I see a lot of very familiar faces and friends. Pardon me if I start reciting names. I think it will be too prosaic after this poetic opening. What an honor it is to be standing amongst you once again. And thank you for honoring me along with Mr. Godrej with the Lifetime Achievement Award. With Lifetime Achievement Award, I've suddenly started feeling very old. There probably is nothing further to be done. However, my parents very wisely chose to give me the name of Tarun. So no matter how old I get, I would carry this name Tarun. Sir, this is an inaugural session, so I'll just be very brief because tomorrow morning, again, we have to speak in the technical session. I had the good fortune of being part of the consultative process when theme for this symposium was to be decided. I had a lot of interaction with Mr. Deora, Mr. Bhave and Divya. There is some thought which has gone behind this, and I would like to share that with you, looking beyond the present. You see, the present of the livestock sector, and when I am talking of livestock sector, please bear in mind that I'm including the entire gamut of fisheries and aquaculture. Because livestock and animal husbandry itself comprises of various subsectors like dairy, poultry, piggery, sheep husbandry, goatry, and then a whole lot of other animals like camel, yaks, fish, aquaculture, etc. So when I'm using the term livestock, it is an omnibus term for the entire sector. See, livestock sector, despite the fact that it has very consistently recorded a very impressive rate of growth per annum, all through the history of its development in our country, has always been a very poor country cousin of the larger agriculture sector. It was always pushed to the margins in terms of the political agenda as also the governance agenda of this country. However, over the last 4-5 years, certain significant developments took place. You all know of those developments, but I'll briefly mention. First development which took place was somewhere around, I think, February or March of 2019, when a decision was taken to separate the Department of Fisheries from the erstwhile Department of Animal Husbandry and Dairying. You see, Department of Animal Husbandry and Dairying used to be one of the departments of Ministry of Agriculture. I have worked both as a joint secretary in the erstwhile Department of Animal Husbandry, Dairying and Fisheries, when it was a part of the Agriculture Ministry. Although the department had an independent secretary and an independent administrative setup, etc. However, in terms of the time and the involvement of the Agriculture Minister into livestock sector, I would say, Dr. Chaudhary would bear me out if my figures are a bit astray, would not be more than 5% of his total investment into the agriculture sector. Despite the fact that this is a sector which was contributing nearly, I think, more than 30% to the entire agricultural GDP. Plus the fact that a very large populace was involved in the livelihoods and employment in this sector. So one significant development was that fisheries was separated into a separate department, realizing that fisheries and aquaculture has its own set of issues and challenges which need to be separately addressed. And I had the privilege of being part of the process to conceptualize creation of a new department and prepared the entire scheme and outline of how the department would function, and also had the privilege to be the first secretary of the fisheries department also. Immediately thereafter, within the next 2-3 months, a separate ministry was carved out with a separate minister, with Mr. Giriraj Singh as the first minister, the Ministry of Fisheries, Animal Husbandry and Dairying. Now, this was a very, very significant step. Now, the separation from the Agriculture Ministry in terms of the governance structure was complete. Thereafter, government took a very important step. Merely creating a different building and a house and some set of people doesn't serve anything unless there is investment in the sector. Investment not only in terms of money, but investment also in terms of appropriate policies. I remember when the new government took place, I think it was May 2019, Mr. Chaudhary, if I'm Dr. Chaudhary, May 2019. The government took, after the general elections, the government took over. The first cabinet meeting of this government, this was again something very, very unique for us as a bureaucrat that, well, suddenly this sector has become so important. The first cabinet meeting of the new government, the first agenda item was this 15,000 crore project for eradication of disease control of foot and mouth and brucellosis. Dr. Malik, Dr. Chaudhary, they were all part of this process when overnight we created a cabinet note, conceptualized this thing, put into place this scheme, which was, so this was a very unique thing, and this sent a very strong political and administrative message. Now that the government had placed this sector very high on its governance and policy, political and governance priorities. So why I'm pointing it out is that now if the sector does not do well and does not take off from there, all of us will be collectively responsible. Now we don't have any alibi in terms of saying that there is no response from the government, there are no policies, there's no investment. A significant departure in terms of policies in this sector was that prior to this, the entire intervention of the governments, be it the state governments and the central government, was infusion of little bit of subsidy here, little bit of subsidy there. You have a scheme, you say, well, the scheme, we would presume a unit cost to be rupees 1 lakh, 20% subsidy to general category people, 25% to people belonging to SC, ST or certain women categories, etc. So for 1 lakh, we will give you 10,000, 20,000 subsidy. Now you are allowed to fend for yourself. There was a significant departure from infusion of direct cash subsidy to infusion of investment. So we created these infrastructure funds, wherein this subsidy was not direct infusion of subsidy, but it was more in terms of subvention of the interest component. So, and ensuring that there is a reasonable amount of capital or margin money put in by the beneficiary of also. This generated a spirit of entrepreneurship in the sector. That person who's investing in the sector is investing as an entrepreneur, not merely as a beneficiary of a livelihood scheme, little bit here, okay, some cash support has come to me, that's all. You see, many times the industry people, many of you would bear me out, would approach me when I was secretary and saying, well, agriculture sector is getting free electricity, free water, free, very, very low rate of, low cost of credit, etc., whole lots of benefits, and there's nothing for the aquaculture, fisheries and dairy and these sectors. Why don't you take it up with the government? In fact, when Mr. Sharad Pawar was the agriculture minister, that time I was joint secretary, that time also industry. I was primarily looking after fisheries and aquaculture. They used to approach me repeatedly that how our aquaculture could be competitive when agriculture is getting all those benefits. Aquaculture is not getting, after aquaculture is also agriculture. Agriculture in water is aquaculture. I used to tell them one thing, that agriculture has been stagnating over the last 2-3 decades at the rate of around 2%. It is generally between 1.5 to 2% or 2 to 2.5%. Never has it gone beyond this scale. Whereas you have been consistently recording an annual growth rate of 6%, 7%, 8%, 10%. The moment we start giving you these things free and this kind of a subsidy, your growth is also like to plummet. This spirit of entrepreneurship will go. That is why today, if you take the entire basket of commodities which are exported, the single biggest commodity is fish. And the second biggest commodity is buffalo meat. So both are from the livestock and this sector. So when there's been this departure of creation of these special funds, which Mr. Rupala also mentioned, in terms of Dairy Infrastructure Development Fund, Animal Husbandry Infrastructure Development Fund is how much? 20,000 crores? 15,000 crores. Dairy Infrastructure Development Fund was that time 11,000 crores or 12,000 crores or so. Fisheries Infrastructure Development was again about 9,000 crores. Then you have Matsya Sampada Yojana around 20,000 crores. So much of capital and financial resources are now available. And these are the resources which will create entrepreneurs, not just recipients of subsidies. That is why it is very important for the industry stalwarts like you now to take lead in this sector and take it into the direction wherein we don't talk in terms of livestock, fisheries and aquaculture as merely livelihood activities or traditional activities of families. These as alternative vocations and professions. Now the time has come when a young boy or a girl from a middle class family in urban area, when put a question as to what would you like to become when you grow up, instead of answering merely engineer, doctor, police officer, IS officer, says, I would like to become a farmer. I would like to maintain a dairy. This is the kind of entrepreneurship which this sector can now create. I will not take much time. Just a few things from my own experience of interacting with the sector. There are quite a few challenges which this sector is facing. We'll discuss them in detail in the technical session. But one of the biggest challenges this sector is facing is from within. There is no strong advocacy and voice of this sector. You have various bodies. There'll be a dozen odd bodies talking in terms of dairy farmer, dozen odd bodies talking in terms of hatcheries, or some about fish farmer, some about export, fish processing and exports, etc. Now that CLFMA has that CLFMA, these 5 alphabets, the 5 ya 4 hain? 5. Okay. Now these 5 alphabets are no longer an acronym. These 5 alphabets is just a name to an association of livestock industry. And again, your livestock also includes fish. Your livestock also includes fish. So if this is a body which is now an association of the entire livestock industry, please try to convert yourself into a strong advocate and voice of the industry, not merely some few manufacturers here or there. This would be very essential. Why I'm saying is that when this industry, whenever it has faced crisis, I have found that either Mr. Chaudhary or someone in the government is fighting a lone battle if he wishes to. He need not. Mr. Chaudhary need not be fighting your battle. He would bear me out when the Uttarakhand High Court passed an order saying that henceforth there shall be no battery cages. Delhi High Court had also issued notice that why not ban battery cages, etc. There was no voice from the industry. यहाँ हरियाणा से बैठे हैं हमारे साथी. He and a few people, small, yes sir. They came, but the big poultry persons were sitting very complacently. It doesn't matter, we'll manage the situation, etc. And we were trying to gather people, commission studies, etc., to confront the court, and the strong lobbies which were agitating against our poultry, etc. The industry was nowhere to be seen to be united in terms of fighting this enemy from outside. Secondly is there are a lot of lobbies, very strong lobbies and very vociferous lobbies which are trying to scandalize our entire livestock sector. Recently, for I think months together, there were 2 full-page advertisements in Times of India. And Times of India is the largest circulating English daily, I think in Bombay, Delhi and most of these places. 2 full pages, Sunday edition, it would be costing lakhs and lakhs of rupees, in very bold, very bold font, colored font, saying the milk you consume is dangerous and full of antibiotic residues. And then in very small print it was further written, if not tested properly. Then further it says, take milk only from our company and our brand, etc. It continued for a month. There was nobody to counter it. Then I had retired. So I didn't have any position in the government, but I called up FSSAI that please summon these people and put an end to this kind of a mischief and nonsense. Nobody is countering when there's a propaganda in the international markets, etc., that there is a reckless or rampant use of antibiotics, antimicrobials in our livestock products. Now, without any data, without any information, or if there is a data, it's a humbug data, not collected scientifically, etc. There's an opinion which is floated around. There are milk analogs coming into the market and trying to, how they are publicized is that milk is bad for health. However, soya milk or almond milk or all these milks, now they cannot be termed as milk. Legally, they are not legally they are not milk. FSSAI has issued a notification that you can't call them milk because it is misleading. But nobody from industry, I've never seen an industry voice being raised. Amul probably made a noise at one time, but singly Amul has that stature. Why I'm highlighting these few things is, for instance, methane emissions. Now there is this thing that consume less livestock products. So globally, all the Western, the advanced economies, the developed countries, more than 60% of their protein requirements are from livestock products. Whereas in Africa, Asia, the developing countries, which include developing countries like India, China, etc., which now are basically somewhere between developing and developed, it is 22%. And parts of the world, it is not even 10%. So there is a case for increasing the protein intake from livestock products. But now there are strong lobbies, global lobbies, on the issue of environmental conservation and reducing greenhouse gas emissions. There's a huge global demand going on to reduce the consumption of animal protein, etc., saying that they are the biggest contributors to the greenhouse gas emissions. There are no authentic studies anywhere in the world which can actually compute what is livestock's contribution to greenhouse gas. However, after various studies, the universally accepted figure is 14.5%. That 14.5% of the greenhouse gas emissions globally are contributed to the livestock sector. Now, these 14.5%, number one, it's 14.5%. So 75.5% comes from elsewhere, 85.5% comes from elsewhere, not livestock. This 14.5% includes digestive emissions. Now, digestive emissions is a phenomena which is common to every living being. This includes emissions on account of growing of feed and fodder crops. So it is attributed to livestock, not to agriculture or the crop husbandry. It includes transportation of livestock products right from the farmer to the various levels up to the consumer's table. So that is not to the transport industry. So if a truck is carrying one crate of eggs and 20 other industrial products, probably that is the emissions are going to the... So this kind of propaganda goes on. Similarly, in terms of antimicrobial residues and the AMR, etc. Very misleading opinions, misleading statements are being made, etc. But there's nobody from... You don't have to fight it. If there is somebody, some responsible body is making a statement, we have to sit back and take note and maybe consider it. But once it is misleading on the basis of data which is highly suspect, I think industry needs to stand as a whole to guard itself, or at least to educate and the consumer by putting up the correct figures. That is why, to that extent, I'm very happy that you have brought out these. Last year in Bombay, you gave the first volume and the second volume. These are the kind of information that data is very important. And if you could digitize this data and digitize it in a form wherein a person can access or whatever could be of his choice and option, I think that would be a great idea. Sorry, ladies and gentlemen, I just wanted to make a very formal statement of 2 or 3 minutes, but I got carried away. I don't know, and after the lyrical exposition by Mr. Godrej, I hope this prosaic address of mine did not bore you too much. Thank you so much. What an honor it has been.
Thank you so very much, sir, for those very enlightening words, and to present you with a memento in token of our appreciation. May I now please request Mr. Divya Kumar Gulati to do the honors and present you with a memento. A round of applause for him, please. And thank you for those words. You know, the moment that we've all been waiting for, CLFMA of India each time wants to make sure that they acknowledge leaders who contribute towards the betterment of the industry, who at the end of the day, along with their everyday work, think about the betterment of the industry and work towards it in small or big ways. And we believe that appreciation has its way of converting itself into really encouraging all of you to come forward the next year round. And that is what we are hoping the award ceremony is more like it. So as we look forward to sharing with you who the winners' names are, may I please request all of you to put your hands together as I invite Dr. Devender Huda to join us on stage and share with us the name of the winner and read out the citation. A round of applause for Dr. Devender Huda.
The first award goes to Dr. Anand Kumar Pathak. Big round of applause for him. He has been Distinguished Scientist Award for Excellence in Research, Dr. Varghese Kurian Best Scientist Award, Best Innovator Award, ANA Dr. MS Rahal Award, NAVS Associate, 16 Best Oral Paper Presentation. Along with that, he is also Fellow of BSS, ISRD, Member of IPR Cell, SKU AST Jammu. Roadmap of Feed and Fodder Development Program under NLM and Policy Farming for UK, UT of J&K. He is continuously engaged in teaching, research and extension activities, and his research work solely based on the farmer and feed industry needs orientation. He has expert in the least cost formulation using local available conventional and unconventional feed sources. Big round of applause for Dr. Anand Kumar Pathak.
May I now request all of you to please put your hands together as I welcome Mr. Saikat Saha on stage to share with us yet another winner's name as well as read out the citation. A round of applause for Mr. Saha.
The second awardee for this section is Dr. Pankaj Kumar Singh. A big round of applause, please. Dr. Pankaj Kumar Singh is a professor and head of Animal Nutrition Department of Bihar Animal Science University, Patna, India. He has 21 years of experience of teaching of animal nutrition and feed technology at undergraduate and postgraduate levels. Dr. Singh has contributed in area of scarcity feeding, area-specific mineral mixture, unconventional feed resources, and economical ration for livestock and poultry. He has handled 10 research papers and guided 12 master and doctoral students. Dr. Singh has an international exposure at University of Florida, USA, as a visiting scientist. He has authored more than 8 books, 6 lab manuals, and around more than 100 publications in reputed journals, and presented many papers in various conferences and symposia. Dr. Singh has served as the animal feed industry as an experienced feed formulator. He has been Vice President of Animal Nutrition Society and Animal Nutrition Association of India. He is a member of editorial boards of national and international scientific journals. Dr. Singh is recipient of Fellow of Animal Nutrition Association of India, Young Scientist Award of Uttarakhand State Council of Science and Technology, Dr. S.K. Ranjan Best Doctoral Thesis Award of Animal Nutrition Society of India, Best Teacher Award 2021 of Bihar Animal Science University, and many more. A big round of applause for Dr. Pankaj Kumar Singh.
Well, now we've come to a moment that is very special for all of us right here at CLFMA of India, 64th National Symposium 2023, which is going to be the launch of our souvenir. And as we look forward to learning a lot more, it is such a pleasure to have amongst us Dr. O.P. Chaudhary, Joint Secretary, Department of Animal Husbandry and Dairying, Ministry of Fishery, Animal Husbandry and Dairy, Government of India. I'd like to request all of you to please put your hands together as I now request him to address the audience. Please do put your hands together.
मंच पे विराजमान आदरणीय गोदरे साहब, हमारे एक सेक्रेटरी श्रीमान श्रीधर साहब, क्लिफमा के वर्तमान चेयरमैन देवरा साहब, डिप्टी चेयरमैन साहब और हमारे दूसरे साथी और इस हॉल में विद्यमान क्लिफमा के समस्त मेंबर्स, डेलीगेट्स, देवियों और सज्जनों, सबसे पहले तो मुझे बहुत खुशी हो रही है कि ये कार्यक्रम क्लिफमा ने यहाँ दिल्ली में किया, तो हम लोगों को भी आपके साथ इस कार्यक्रम में शरीक होने का मौका मिला। दूसरी बात कि हमारे बहुत जो दो अतिथि हैं बहुत ही गणमान्य हैं और जाने माने हैं देश में, जिनको कि CLFMA ने लाइफ टाइम अचीवमेंट अवार्ड दिया है। मैं उन दोनों को, गोदरे साहब को, श्रीधर साहब को हृदय से बधाई देता हूँ। और फीड इंडस्ट्री में जो उनका योगदान है वह काबिल तारीफ़ है और उसके लिए उनको इनाम ये बख्शिश हुआ है। गोदरे साहब ने जो कविता के रूप में अपनी बात कही वह बहुत गौर करने वाली थी। मैं तो ऐसी कविता 5 साल में भी नहीं लिख सकता हूँ, और ऐसी भी कविता मतलब आइंस्टाइन को भी बहुत जोर आएगा, साइंस को कविता में लिखा। तो मैं उनसे बात कर रहा था कि इसमें तो आपको कई महीने लग गए होंगे लिखने में। तो इट वाज ऑल साइंस रिटन इन ए वेरी रिदमिक पोएटिक वे। इट वाज सो ब्यूटीफुल, सो लवेबल दैट हाउ अ कॉम्प्लेक्स थिंग कैन बी मेड इनटू ए वेरी स्वीट एंड ब्यूटीफुल थिंग। तो उन्होंने उसमें जो सारे पहलू थे फीड एंड फॉडर इंडस्ट्री के, वो सब बातें उन्होंने कंसेप्चुअलाइजेशन से लेके मार्केट तक सब डाल दिया है उन्होंने कविता में। और श्रीधर साहब को तो आप जानते ही हैं कि मैं तो उन्हीं का चेला हूँ, तो वो भी बहुत अच्छी सोच के धनी हैं, बहुत ही प्रोग्रेसिव हैं। और ब्यूरोक्रेट जो इंडिया में जिस तरह का समझ है ब्यूरोक्रेट की, उससे एकदम अलग उनकी समझ है। और उनकी भी समझ यही है कि हम सब एक ही लोग हैं, कोई टेबल के उधर बैठने से अलग नहीं हो जाता। और इसलिए हमें एक दूसरे को समझ के और पॉलिसी तैयार करनी चाहिए जिससे एक देश आगे बढ़े। जब आप समझोगे ही नहीं लोगों को, अक्सर क्या होता है कि ब्यूरोक्रेट्स में जो लोग बताते रहते हैं, मुझे तो ज़्यादा पता नहीं है क्योंकि मैं तो ब्यूरोक्रेट की तरह कभी रहा ही नहीं, कि वो आपको 5 घंटे इंतज़ार करा देगा, फिर आपको ऊपर नीचे देखेगा, फिर एक आध बात आपकी सुन लेगा। अब आप बताओ, इसमें अगर मैं गोदरे साहब की भाषा में कहूँ साइंस के रूप में, तो साइंस तो यह कहती है कि भाई जो आदमी जिसका अपना अनुभव नहीं है, जैसे फीड बनाने का, मैं तो किसान का बेटा हूँ, मेरा कोई अनुभव नहीं है फीड बनाने का। अब मैं ऐसी कुर्सी पे बैठा हूँ कि मुझे ऐसी पॉलिसीज़ बनानी है जो काम मैंने कभी किया ही नहीं। अब इसका इंटरेस्टिंग एस्पेक्ट देखो, मैं कई बार इसकी इंटेलेक्चुअल डेप्थ में जाता हूँ कि मेरा क्या रोल हो सकता है। तो फिर ये समझ में आता है कि भले ही आपको फर्स्ट हैंड एक्सपीरियंस नहीं है, लेकिन आप में इतनी समझ और इतना मादा होना चाहिए, जिसको आप कहते हैं ना कंप्यूटर मॉडलिंग कहते हो आप, कि आप इमेजिन कर लो सामने वाले के काम को और ज़्यादा नहीं तो 90% उसके करीब पहुंच जाओ। अब 90% करीब कैसे पहुंचोगे? जब उससे मिलोगे, बातचीत करोगे, उसके काम को समझोगे, तब आप इमेजिन करने के बाद जो एक्चुअल उसका एक्सपीरियंस है उसके 90-95% उसके करीब पहुंचोगे। जब उसके करीब इतने पहुंचोगे तब आप उसकी मदद कर पाओगे। लेकिन आप तो बात ही नहीं करना चाहते, आप तो मिलना ही नहीं चाहते। अब आप देख रहे होगे, क्योंकि आप सब इसी देश के लोग हो, रोज़ सरकारी आदमियों से मिलते हो, कि जब आप मिलना ही नहीं चाहते लोगों से, बात ही उनको समझना ही नहीं चाहते, तो उनकी मदद क्या करोगे? तो ये जो सारी बातें हैं, मुझे गोदरे साहब की कविता में जो साइंस वाली कविता थी ना, तो ये भी इसकी साइंस है कि अगर आप पॉलिसी में कुछ मदद करना चाहते हो किसी की, तो पहले समझो उस बात को। मैं क्योंकि मिनिस्ट्री में जो एक सोच है, ये सरकार आपको जानते हो कि ऐसे लोग लाने की कोशिश करती है कि हम एक दूसरे से मिलकर के साथ काम कर सकें और देश को आगे बढ़ा सकें। और ये भी सरकार की सोच है कि जो प्राइवेट इनिशिएटिव है, इतना ताकतवर कोई दूसरा इनिशिएटिव नहीं होता, क्योंकि जो हमारी बेसिक इंस्टिंक्ट है ना, वो यह कहती है कि मैं जो भी काम करूँगा अपने लिए करूँगा। एवोल्यूशन जो है लाइफ का, वो ऐसे ही हुआ है कि मैं जो भी काम करूँगा अपने लिए करूँगा। तो उसको हम कहते हैं दूसरी भाषा में कि ये प्राइवेट इंस्टिंक्ट है। अब प्राइवेट इंस्टिंक्ट को देश के लिए कैसे उसका लाभ लिया जाए, ये है जो रेगुलेटरी मैकेनिज्म है, जो सरकार है, जो कि यह कहती है कि हाँ ये भीड़ है, ये टैलेंटेड लोग हैं, ये देश के लिए इस दिशा में कैसे चलें, एक पर्टिकुलर डायरेक्शन में कैसे चलें। तो वो यह कहती है साइंस कि प्राइवेट इंस्टिंक्ट का, प्राइवेट एंटरप्रेन्योरशिप का, प्राइवेट सेक्टर का एनर्जी को लिबरेज होने दो। जितनी ज़्यादा से ज़्यादा वो एनर्जी लिबरेज होगी उतना ही देश को फायदा मिलेगा, देश की जनता को फायदा मिलेगा। आप जैसे कमिटेड टैलेंटेड लोग हर जगह नहीं हैं, तो आपके ज्ञान का, आपके रिसोर्स का, आपकी स्किल का देश को, देश के लोगों को लाभ मिलना चाहिए। और वो तब मिलेगा जब जो हम जैसे लोग ऊपर बैठे हुए हैं वह आपकी मदद पॉलिसी के माध्यम से, रिसोर्स के माध्यम से, चीज़ों को फैसिलिटेट करने के माध्यम से काम करेंगे। और ये आपको लग रहा होगा अब ये सरकार में जो लोग बैठे हुए हैं उनका एटीट्यूडनल चेंज हो रहा है, सोचने में फ़र्क आ रहा है कि हम फैसिलिटेटर हैं और ये जो कुर्सी है वो मदद करने के लिए है, लोगों को तंग करने के लिए नहीं है। ये फ़र्क आ रहा है और ये रियलाइजेशन वाला विषय है, क्योंकि रियलाइजेशन में थोड़ा टाइम लगता है। मिनिस्ट्री में जो बातें होती हैं ना आजकल, तो वो जैसे राजनेताओं से बातचीत करते हैं, हम लोग इधर उधर जाते हैं, आप लोगों से बात करते हैं, तो दो चीज़ तो प्रमुख तौर पे निकल के आई। एक पहली बात तो यह निकल के आई कि फीड इंडस्ट्री को, एक जो गरीब तबका है जिसको बैलेंस फीड नहीं मिल पा रहा है, उस मार्केट को भी खोजना चाहिए और उस मार्केट पे भी काम करना चाहिए। मार्केट जब मैं कह रहा हूँ तो मार्केट का मतलब है कि मैं ये नहीं कह रहा हूँ कि आप उन पर दया करके और उनके लिए कोई चीज़ सस्ती बना के उनको दे दो। मैं यह कह रहा हूँ कि इनोवेशन के माध्यम से दुनिया में दुनिया भर की इनोवेशन हो रही हैं, फीड पे भी हो रही हैं, फॉडर पे भी हो रही हैं, किसको बैलेंस्ड करके, जैसे प्रोटीन, एंजाइम, माइक्रोन्यूट्रिएंट, दुनिया भर की जो चीज़ें होती हैं जो आप फीड बनाते हो तब, तो वह उसकी कीमत कम करके उसको, जो हमारा कमज़ोर तबका है, जो कि अभी अगर हम कैटल की इनकी बात करें, स्मॉल रूमिनेंट्स की बात करें, तो ज़्यादातर खेतों में चराता है, जंगल में चराता है, रेल की पटरी के सहारे चराता है, नहर के किनारे पशुओं को चराता है, या फिर जो आप भूसा कहते हो, ड्राई फॉडर, शाम को बांध देता है और उसको डाल देता है, थोड़ा बहुत खली ऊपर से डाल देता है स्मेल के लिए, लेकिन वो बैलेंस, जो संतुलित जो भोजन है वो उसको नहीं मिल पाता है। तो मेरे ख्याल से ये जो हमारे क्लिफमा से जुड़े हुए भाई हैं उनको इस पर सोचना चाहिए, फीड इंडस्ट्री को इस पर सोचना चाहिए कि हम नए तरीके कैसे ढूंढें कि ये एक मार्केट भी टेप हो जाए, जिससे आप वेल्थ भी क्रिएट करो अपने लिए भी और उनकी ज़रूरत भी पूरी हो जाए। दूसरा जो विषय चलता रहता है वो ये विषय है कि हम ये नहीं कह रहे कि आप अमेरिका में जाके अपने सामान को बेचो, आप अपने जैसे ही देशों में, जो आप जैसे देश हैं, वहाँ आप एक्सपोर्ट कर सकते हो क्या? क्योंकि एक जो हमारी बुनियादी समझ ये है कि अगर किसी देश को अमीर बनना है तो वो अपने ही लोगों में बेचता रहेगा, तो वो उसी तरह का है कि आपकी जेब से मैंने निकाल लिया, मेरी जेब से इन्होंने निकाल लिया, तो उससे अमीरी तो देश में नहीं आएगी। अमीरी तो जब आएगी जब आप बाहर से पैसा देश में लाओगे। तो जो एक्सपोर्ट वाला मसला है कि आप कम से कम ऐसे देशों को चुन लो कि जो आप जैसे ही हैं, आपसे कमज़ोर हैं, वहाँ मार्केट को आप कैसे फीड कर सकते हो और सरकार इसमें कैसे आपकी मदद कर सकती है। जैसे अभी एनिमल हस्बेंड्री इंफ्रास्ट्रक्चर डेवलपमेंट फंड है, तो अभी वो 15-20 दिन महीने में, क्योंकि उसकी म्याद ख़त्म हो गई थी 31 मार्च को, अब वो फिर एक्सटेंड हो रहा है। हमने रिक्वेस्ट भी किया है कि इंटरेस्ट सबवेंशन की जो 3% है उससे भी उसको बढ़ाया जाए और 5-10% की जो कैपिटल सब्सिडी होती है, अब हम नहीं कह रहे कि वो किस तरह वहाँ से अप्रूव हो के आता है, लेकिन वो 15,000 करोड़ से अब 25,000 करोड़ होने जा रहा है। और वैल्यू एडिशन में, डाइवर्सिफिकेशन ऑफ प्रोडक्ट में आपको उसका लाभ मिलेगा। और फीड इंडस्ट्री, फॉडर इंडस्ट्री ने काफ़ी उसका उपयोग किया है उस पैसे का, और आगे भी क्योंकि आपको मिलेगा। तो देश की जो समस्या है ना, जो सॉल्यूशंस हैं, प्रॉब्लम्स हैं, उनके सॉल्यूशंस पे भी हमें काम करना चाहिए और वेल्थ क्रिएशन पे भी काम करना चाहिए। अच्छे नागरिक होने के नाते हमारी जिम्मेदारी ये भी है कि कई बार मैं देखता हूँ कि यहाँ गांव में इस वाले घर में 20 किलो दूध है और बगल वाला जो घर है वहाँ चाय पीने के लिए भी नहीं है। तो ये जो बातें हैं कि थोड़ा सा रिडिस्ट्रीब्यूशन भी होना चाहिए, परचेजिंग पावर उधर भी थोड़ी सी बढ़े। तो ये बातें तब होंगी जब हम उस तबके की, जिसके पास पैसा नहीं है, उसकी ज़रूरत को भी थोड़ा पूरी करेंगे। और वो पूरी तब होगी जब आप, जैसे हमारा मैंडेट है, मान लो इंडस्ट्री का मैंडेट है कि साहब आप फीड बनाओ और लोगों को बेचो, तो उस तबके को भी बेचो। ऑर्गेनाइज सेक्टर में तो आप बेचते ही हो, उस सेक्टर को भी ऑर्गेनाइज सेक्टर में लाओ, उसको भी फॉर्मलाइज धीरे धीरे करिए। तो फिर क्या होगा कि वो आपके लिए काम करेगा और बहुत बड़ा तबका आपके लिए काम करेगा। तो हो सकता है कि आपका इस इकोनॉमीज ऑफ स्केल ठीक हो जाए, फिर आप बाहर बेच पाओ। तो ये 2-3 बातें हैं जो मैं आपसे शेयर करना चाह रहा था। पुणे में आप सब लोगों को बहुत बहुत, क्लिफमा के मेंबर्स को बहुत बहुत बधाई देता हूँ, पूरी इंडस्ट्री को बधाई देता हूँ। और जिन लोगों ने, क्योंकि क्लिफमा बहुत प्रेस्टीजियस ऑर्गेनाइजेशन है, जिनको भी इन्होंने इनाम दिया है वह बहुत ही महत्वपूर्ण इनाम है, क्योंकि ये काफ़ी रिगरस एग्ज़ामिनेशन के बाद इनाम देते हैं। तो मैं गोदरेज साहब को, श्रीधर साहब को और 2 अन्य साथी जिनको अभी इनाम मिला है उनको भी बहुत बहुत बधाई देता हूँ। और आपने मुझे ये प्लेटफॉर्म दिया ऑर्गेनाइजर्स ने, उसके लिए बहुत बहुत धन्यवाद। थैंक यू।
So once again, I'm given this opportunity to say the vote of thanks. So to begin with, first again, I would like to convey thanks to Rupala ji, who was the main person in the morning session, and he shared so many interesting things with us. One of the things was the Bal Gopal cooperative that he shared with us, and that is really sown a seed in a lot of minds, and he extended it to try and inculcate that into your families, your industries, and also the livestock sector. So that was very interesting. My next thanks goes to Ms. Nadir Godrej. It was very, very entertaining to hear the poem. I think I am short of words to really express how interesting it was, and it was interesting, it was entertaining, and I think everybody got blown away with that. So thank you, sir. Thank you so much. Thank you, Mr. Tarun Sridhar ji. As always, you've been a great support, and your wisdom has really helped CLFMA in the past, and we look forward that it does so in the future too. Dr. O.P. Chaudhary ji, thank you so much for gracing the occasion, and I had the good fortune of meeting him personally recently, and I would like to share with you that when I met him, I was also blown away by his simplicity and the open door policy he had, and he heard everything we had to say and also guided us so nicely. So thank you, sir. Thank you very, very much. Congratulations to Dr. Anand Kumar Pathak and Dr. Pankaj Kumar Singh for being the CLFMA awardees. And thank you so much for your contribution to the livestock sector. Special thanks goes to all the sponsors, without whose help this would not have been possible. So thanks, a big thanks to all the sponsors. I would like to take this opportunity to thank the organizing committee, the support staff of CLFMA, as well as the hotel support staff, without whose help this event would not be possible so smoothly. Special thanks goes to also our friends from the press fraternity. Without their coverage also, we would not get the right mileage for our efforts. Before I end my thank you, of course, a special thank you to Miss Isha, who's been here all day, I'm seeing the event. So thank you to her. And lastly, we have a very fun-filled, entertaining and spirited evening ahead of us. So please join us over here to enjoy the evening. Thank you very much.